So this next story is absolutely buck wild, right? There was a lot of speculation around this. I even commented on the speculation on stream because I thought GB News had libeled this guy. Turns out, right, not really quite far off. So Philip Schofield has admitted lying about a relationship with a younger ITV employee. There was a lot of explanation. Sorry, there's a lot of speculation rather around this particular
Fucking
topic.
neoliberalism.
Hey, thank you for
There
the
she is.
resub. Much appreciated, Sensibilium. See, there was a lot of speculation around whether this was the case, and I cannot fucking believe that this shit is true. Let's dig into it, shall we? TV presenter Philip Schofield has admitted he lied to his colleagues and the media about an affair he had with a younger male ITV employee. The former This Morning host said his affair with the man, who the BBC is not naming, was unwise but not illegal, which is hardly a phrase that fills you with confidence for what's gone on here, right? Yeah, unwise but not illegal is like the nothing happened really of legal defenses, right? It's the my free speech is good because I should be allowed to say these things because I have free speech, rather than thinking that what you say is good, right? Not illegal, technically, not technically illegal is the kind of vibes I'm getting from that statement. I thought it was 12. I thought he knew the kid when they were 12. Either way, right? He knew this kid when they were a preteen, essentially. And so let's go through this. Let's actually just go through the statement, right? Let's go through the statement. Obviously, we all seen he'd resigned from This Morning, had these farewell goodbyes with Eamon Holmes and Holly Willoughby and whoever the other woman is, I don't remember the name of, because apparently there was a rift between him and Holly Willoughby at the time. And really is because we can speculate. We don't know for sure that these are the kind of allegations that were going to come out eventually and he was going to have to make a statement on. That might theoretically, to be as ambivalent as possible on this particular issue for legal reasons, that could potentially, theoretically, might be a reason why the reason given was something about Holly Willoughby rather than the actual case of what's happened here. Good night, Sensibilium. You take care. The TV presenter was still married to his wife at the time of the relationship. They separated in 2020 after Schofield came out as gay. Schofield said he was so very sorry for being unfaithful to his wife and for lying to his colleagues, agents, employers, the media, and the public. He would reflect on his very bad judgment in both participating in the relationship and then lying about it. His announcement follows significant online speculation over several months about Schofield's personal relationships. And contrary to the official word, right, the official word that's gone on for this one is, contrary to the speculation, whilst I met the man when he was a teenager and asked it to help him to get into television, yeah, that doesn't sound awkward at all, right? This person that you knew when they were below legal age, and then you ensured you got them a job in the television industry, right? At that time, you then knew during the entirety of that time that you got into a relationship whilst they were at working with you in television. This doesn't look great. This really doesn't look great. Yeah, it's definitely not grooming at all, theoretically, in the video game of Minecraft, right? Again, I'm not going to specifically say for legal reasons whether or not this is or definitively isn't grooming, but lots of people on the internet are speculating that this could theoretically be grooming. That's what I will say, right? I don't want to get myself in trouble, right, for things I say on my YouTube channel. So I'm just going to say that's what people online are saying, right? It certainly looks like it could theoretically be that way. It doesn't look great. It's not great, to say the least. Yeah, it sounds like grooming might not be, but definitely doesn't look good. I think that's the best way of being able to describe what's going on here, right? When I chose to come out, I did so entirely for my own well-being. Nobody forced me out. Neither I nor anyone else to my knowledge has ever issued an injunction, super or otherwise, about my relationship with this colleague. He was never moved on or sacked or because of me. Now, Eamon Holmes was on Twitter and was speculating that there were people in the high-ups of ITV who knew about this already and were keeping it on the down low. So this is a statement from Eamon Holmes specifically, saying that he's not the only guilty party. 4 high members of ITV management knew what sort of man he was and never once took action to prevent him controlling or take advantage of his position over young people. Which, obviously given this particular video here, is an interesting statement to make. But it does just make you wonder just how many people are getting away with this kind of stuff and are being protected by the higher-ups above them who have so much dirt on these people. I mean, we all know, obviously, you think about, for example, the amount of people who have connections to Jeffrey Epstein, who Jeffrey Epstein was, who could have destroyed at a moment's notice, and it makes you wonder about the situation that led to that point in the first place. It does make you wonder just how much of this information is being kept under wraps to protect protected by powerful people, protecting other powerful people. Really does make you wonder. Peter Mandelson, yeah, exactly. People like that. So yeah, this is it's Jimmy Savile all over again. It really, really is. To a lesser extent, obviously, because we don't have any actual evidence of any of him engaging in the same kind of stuff as Jimmy Savile. But the same thing about someone being in these kind of positions. Obviously, what Jimmy Savile did was way worse. But having people who are speculated to have known about this stuff at the higher level and then have not done anything to be able to rectify that in the first place, and keeping all of this information under wraps to be able to protect people whilst these things were going on, right? It just shows how much information we really don't know. Yeah, you're absolutely right, ADX. Yeah, certain places you can't get in power unless there's dirt on you. I think thing is, what's interesting, right? You say you don't care about his coming out or why. I agree. I don't care about his coming out. Like, when he came out, obviously it was big for him. It was unfortunate for his wife, and he kept a secret, whatever. That's his own personal information. The real issue is how many of the fucking chuds here are going to use this as some kind of evidence, given the current rhetoric that we have going on online in the current political discourse around the nature of what's going on with the so-called grooming of young people and how that's being linked to the queer community. The bit I have that's most problematic about this is that a high-profile gay celebrity is being faced with, more credible accusations that there is potential grooming involved, right? There are these accusations flying around at a time of heightened concern for these other allegations being erroneously directed at the LGBTQ community as a whole, right? Obviously, trans people get kind of the biggest brunt of these accusations, but, gay people still get called groomers, right, at this point. And for Phil Schofield to be in this position as an out gay man, and with these accusations being flown, this is the worst possible timing for this stuff to happen. There's already this kind of cultural, there was previous loads of cultural tropes, right? Before we had the kind of modern era of gay acceptance that we have currently. One of the most common tropes was the idea that all gay men were predatory, right? They were coming after your children, right? Where they're grooming your children into LGBTQ ideology or the lifestyle, or potentially grooming children for future sexual relationships when they come of age, for example, right? That was a common trope. Again, I want to make it very, very clear for this video, I'm not saying that that's exactly what happens with Philip Schofield, right? But given that's what people are speculating around, and that's what all the kind of discussion and the discourse you're hearing about this on social media is around the potential for grooming to have happened in this situation, that links back into those homophobic tropes from the not so recent past around gay men and their propensity for predatory behavior. And this is going to be used. This is going to be weaponized by the online far right to attack the gay community as a whole, using whatever poor behavior Philip Schofield is engaged in to attack not just gay people but trans people as well too, right? Rather than taking this for what it is, a singular situation involving a single man, rather than the community at large, for example. Yeah, exactly. Nothing illegal has happened that we know of, but is morally questionable. And, it looks really bad when you have had this close relationship with this person from when they were underage, to get them into the TV business, as he admitted in his statement, to then being in a relationship with this person, which you describe specifically as unwise but not illegal, which again is the most kind of vague language possible to describe this, right? without to try and make it sound not as bad as people are trying to take it. Clearly being couched in very specific language here. That doesn't fill the general public with confidence. And when it does get used to weaponize against the LGBT community as a whole, we're going to go back into the same thing that happened with whenever the random kind of transgender person commits a crime. And suddenly they become a singular punching bag, a singular anecdote that can get wheeled out anytime the transphobes and the homophobes want to be able to further this narrative that they have, where a single bad actor is somehow make sure that everyone from that community is collectively responsible. I mean, this seems to be kind of the general thrust of conservative discourse at the moment. Every trans person is to blame for the one transgender murderer, right? Every gay man is suddenly to blame for some high-profile gay man who's been accused of grooming, for example. Every benefit claimant is who is claiming things when they shouldn't be, who's claiming benefits erroneously. They are to blame for the entire benefit system. And say one refugee, one asylum seeker, commits some kind of crime or whatever it might be, they are then collectively responsible for all of the refugees who then need to be able to get out of the country, for example. This collective responsibility shtick is very kind of conservative coded in the way that people use it. And I'm really worried about what this Philip Schofield case is going to be used for moving forward. So I'm not happy. I'm not exactly full of joy or positivity about what's going on here, because this is we're not going to stop hearing about this. It's going to be big news for a very long time. It's disturbing how all of the nasty rhetoric that was being used against gay people is becoming reused against trans people, then being used to roll back rights for all LGBTQ people. Well, the reason why the right are pushing so hard to use it against trans people is because they know that once the bulwark against trans people gets broken, they can use that same rhetoric again and recycle it again on the remainder of the LGBT community as a whole as well. Right? Once trans people are now an acceptable target, they can then work again back on making sure that gay people are now an acceptable target. It's certainly much more likely to happen in America as well, where Obergefell might suddenly be looking just rolled back by the Supreme Court, given their wins on abortion, given the narrative around gay people, the narrative around trans people, the rhetoric that's being used by conservative politicians both here and across the pond, right? It's always been their point of entry, and that's why they're trying to divide the LGBT community as well, right? They say, oh, gay men are now a problem, they're now a threat to women, because they're a threat to young people, because all these grooming accusations, right? They're a threat to young people learning because they're indoctrinating them into ideology at schools, for example, and they are a threat to women because surrogacy is removing the natural purpose of womanhood by treating women like broodmares, for example, and even though they individually agree to this particular act of surrogacy, for example, right? Like, you've seen TERF types and MAGA types talk about how, gay men's surrogacy, for example, gay men using a woman as a surrogate is you treating women like broodmares. This is like an anti-feminist position when the whole form of feminism should be choice. You choose, if you want to be a surrogate for this gay couple, right? You don't have to. No one's being forced to, right? The state isn't forcing women to get pregnant to make sure that gay men can have kids, right? But this rhetoric is being furthered to try and separate the community from each other and get infighting to start amongst these different groups of people, because they know that they cannot win against a united LGBTQ community. They have to divide us somehow. Yeah, exactly. ContraPoints did a really good video about this. Did society see the same thing after women got the right to vote, as in media trying to get society back to previous states? Yes, exactly, 100%. I mean, there's a very famous campaign poster about loads of famous campaign posters about new women being suffragettes, being essentially unwanted women, right? Unmarriageable women, completely useless women who didn't fulfill their own role in society. And there are women who believe that too, feminist women who believe that. And this same kind of innate essence of womanhood that these people adhere to is the same stuff that you get from TERFs right now, who believe that the whole purpose of womanhood is essentially the ability to give birth, and that is the defining characteristic of womanhood, and that their feminism is a response to making sure that that is centered around women's existence, in the same way that the feminists who opposed women getting the right to vote saw that it was the masculinization of women, and that was not celebrating femininity, right? which is kind of a conservative position. But you can see why a feminist might think that. Tara Mooney has a really good video about that I would recommend watching. When they gave the workers the right to vote, bosses would stand over to make sure you voted correctly. Yeah, exactly 100%. Exactly 100%. And divide and conquer has been, a political tactic since time immemorial. It really has been. So, yeah. Looking forward to endless Philip Schofield discourse for the next few weeks or days or months. I have no idea how long the discourse will last for, but I look forward to this being used as a stick to beat gay men for some time to come. So looking forward to that, future viewers. If you enjoyed this video, please do consider liking and subscribing. It does help out the channel and the algorithm. And if you click the bell notification icon, it will let you know when I go live and when I upload videos. If you'd like to follow me on social media, my handle is @NoJusticeMTG, and that is Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Twitch, and YouTube. If you want to support my channel in a more financial manner, you can do so by becoming a member for just 99p, by super chatting, or by supporting me on Patreon, with the link is in the description of this video, and hopefully I'll catch you on the next segment.